Alright, so let's talk about Weapons. Probably the best horror movie I've seen all year. I was lucky enough to grab the 4K SteelBook a little early, so I'm getting this review out by Tuesday, which is pretty dope. Let's jump straight into the 4K review. So first up is the resolution. This is a native 4K transfer with Dolby Vision and HDR10 support. It's presented in a 2.39 aspect ratio, so you got those widescreen bars. Visually, it's pretty crisp. You can see fine detail like the paint texture on the witch's face under the blanket. Stuff like that didn't really pop in the theaters for me. The flakes of paint, the grain on her skin, all come across nicely here. That said, it's not a night and day difference. It looks clean and sharp, but it's not one of those discs where you go, wow, this looks insane in 4K. It's just a solid native 4K transfer. It does justice to the film's already gritty, grounded look. If you're a fan of the movie, this is definitely the best version to own, but if you're looking for a demo disc, this isn't that kind of release. Now let's talk some HDR. And honestly, this is where the things get a little bit mixed. The HDR is there, but it's pretty subtle. There's a nice punch to the skin tones, greens and reds, like that scene with the paint on the car. That pops pretty good. But overall, the black levels just aren't deep. Some of that might be just the movie color grade itself. It leans towards a brownish tone in the shadow instead of true black, so you don't really get that deep contrast or inky look that you'd expect from a dark horror film. Still though, you do get a touch of more depth in the saturation than you would in SDR. It looks about how I remember in theaters, just slightly more polished, but not dramatically different. Now what is pretty dramatic on this disc is the Dolby Atmos. This is where the 4K release actually impressed me. The Dolby Atmos mix on this disc hits harder than it did in theaters. In theaters, that opening narration of the little girl felt quiet and kind of muffled. You had to really focus on to catch what she was saying. On this disc, it's way more balanced. You can hear her clearly, and the sound overall just feels more full and dynamic.
Her name was Justine Gandy. And on this day, she was going to her classroom just like every morning.
The bass hits nicely, the score fills the room, and there are some cool surround sound effects during some of the scenes where she's walking around. Even on my soundbar setup with subs, it sounded pretty great, so I can only imagine how much harder it'll hit on a full Atmos system. Definitely a highlight of this release. Now when it comes to the special features, they're just fine. You get a few featurettes, 3 I believe, and they're a little above what you expect from a big studio release. The one that stood out to me was the interview with the director, where he breaks down how the story came together and what inspired his writing process. It actually had some substance, which I appreciate it. I do wish studios would include longer, more in-depth interviews instead of these short montage-style extras, but this one at least had some focus. It's not Criterion level or boutique label stuff, but it's solid enough. But I wouldn't be too excited for the special features as there's just not that much to really see here. Now let's talk about the SteelBook. And honestly, this is where I think things take a really big dip. The front cover shows Alex opening the blinds, which is a shot from the movie. Not a terrible shot, but not something that I really remember when I think of Weapons the movie. But with how much cool imagery Weapons has, this feels like a missed opportunity. They could have easily gone with something more striking, like the kids with their arms out or even the witch's iconic shot. The finish of the SteelBook is matte, which gives it a muted look. Personally, I prefer the gloss, but that's subjective. The inside artwork though is actually cooler. It shows one of the kids wearing the witch's makeup, which would have made a way better cover. Color-wise, it uses red and blue complementary palettes, and it's fine, but overall it's pretty average. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Not terrible, just very basic for a movie with this much potential for creative artwork. So, do I recommend picking up Weapons on 4K? If you love the movie and want the best version out there, absolutely. Grab the slipcover edition if you can't find the SteelBook. The audio mix is great and the resolution is solid. It's just a cool film to have in your horror collection. But if you're more casual or just curious, I'd say streaming is fine. This 4K isn't going to blow anyone away. The real power of Weapons comes from the story and the way it unfolds, not from its HDR or packaging. Still, I'm glad I have it on my shelf. If you enjoyed the review, hit a subscribe for more 4K breakdowns, horror reviews, and collector talk. Until the next one, deuces.